Hi guys, so this week we're going to talk more about nouns. I know this is going to start off really basic, but I promise it is important. A lot of these are things that people, including teachers, really tend to look at in your writing. So we're going to start off with what is a noun. So I've said before that nouns are persons, places, things, or ideas. The list is actually a little longer than that, but not by much. So it's persons, places, animals, things, ideas, qualities, events, and emotions. So love is a noun. That's an emotion. Marriage is a noun. Wedding is a noun. It's an event. Cat is a noun. It's an animal. Anything like that. Anything that is a thing. You can say is a noun. So here's a little bit more, and you'll find in this PowerPoint in particular that I'm using a lot of resources from online. It helps to dress up the information a little bit and give you maybe a different way of looking at it so that it's easier to understand. So a noun refers to a person such as mother, boss, teacher, a place, country, street, park, anything like that. Animal, dog, lion, snake, cat, a thing like a car, a computer, toys, window, pizza, phone, a quality such as honesty, freedom, wisdom, a feeling, happy, sad, sorrow, stress, event, party, wedding, birthday, childhood, anything like that is a noun. So how to identify a noun in a sentence? You could ask yourself some questions. So things like who, where, what, anything that addresses the things that a noun is. So Suresh is going to a restaurant to buy a burger, and ignore the capitalization in this sentence. It's completely wrong. But Suresh is a person, so you could ask who to identify the noun there. Suresh is going where? A restaurant. So that tells you where he's going, and he's going to do what? Buy a burger. Burger is the what. So that tells you how to identify a noun. Just kind of ask yourself some questions to find out where the noun is. We talked about this a little bit in the verb PowerPoint, but there are different types of nouns, and this is the same kind of graphic that we used there that looks at common versus proper. So remember, a common noun is just anything general. A proper noun is a specific, named, unique person, place, or thing. And proper nouns begin with a capital letter. Countable nouns are things that can be counted. Uncountable nouns are things that can't be counted. So you can't say, I have 3 air. That would not make any sense. Air is uncountable, even if it is a noun. Concrete is something that you can feel, sense, see, touch, anything like that. So pizza would be a concrete, I have pizza in front of me, would be a concrete noun because I can pick up that piece of pizza. I can taste it. I can smell it. Love would not be a concrete noun. You can't hold love in your hand. It has no physical form. A compound noun is 2 or more words that come together to create a noun. So mother-in-law. Well, mother is a noun on its own. Law is a noun on its own. So that's going to be a compound noun. Compound nouns can be kind of tricky as to whether or not they're 1 word or 2, whether or not they are hyphenated. That has to do generally with how long the word has been in use in English. Words that have been in use longer eventually lose the hyphen and are just kind of merged together. Collective nouns are nouns that are a group of something that are treated as one entity. So team. There are multiple people in a team, but you might say my team is going to the final. You're only talking about one team because even though it has multiple people in it, you're just talking about that one entity. So those are the types of nouns. And here's kind of another graphic on nouns as well. So a common noun is something that refers to people or things in general. So car, dog, chair. A proper noun is something that identifies a particular person, place, or thing and begins with a capital letter. And so remember, nouns can be either common or proper. Collective and compound nouns are not one of those either ors. We just talked about those. Concrete nouns, it says that a concrete noun is something that can be sensed. An abstract noun is something that has no tangible reality, and nouns can be either concrete or abstract. And similarly, a countable noun is something that can be counted. An uncountable noun or a mass noun is something that can't be counted, and nouns can be either countable or uncountable, or countable or mass. Both terms are used. So more examples of uncountable nouns might be money, water, or coffee. You can't say I have 1 money. You can say I have $1. You can't say I have 1 money. So the noun test is kind of a test I learned in a class to identify whether or not something functioning in a sentence is a noun. And this can help you identify subjects and objects in particular and kind of help you figure out, A, is this a noun, and then where to go from there. So if you can put the word the before a word and it makes sense, it's either a noun or it's something that's acting as a noun. Because remember, other groups of words, even if the word is originally a different part of speech, can act as a noun. So, the dog walks down the street. Dog is a noun. The world is round. World is a noun. I am the flying to Chicago. Well, that doesn't make sense, so that's not a noun. Flying is a verb. But if I, still use an ing word, running is fun. The running is fun. Oh, in that case, the makes sense before the word running. So running is functioning as a noun, even if it would normally be something we would think of as a verb. That's actually a special type of what's called a verbal, and it's a gerund. But we're not going to go into kind of all of that here. Just know that sometimes, even if a word appears to be one part of speech, it can be acting as another. And in this case, that's how you identify, this the test, is how you identify what purpose a word is functioning in a sentence, as in a sentence. So here, running is a noun. There are some exceptions to this rule. It doesn't work with proper nouns is a big one. So the Miss Companion is creating this presentation. Well, that really doesn't make much sense because Miss Companion is a proper noun, so there's really only one of me to start with. It only works some of the time with abstract nouns like love or hate. So the love is grand. It does work there. The hate is bad. It works there, but it doesn't always work. So just keep that in mind. So we're going to stop here before we start talking. Actually, no, we'll continue on. Capitalization is tricky for a lot of people. So there are only a couple of times where anything is capitalized in a sentence. One is the first letter of the first word. The second time is the pronoun I. And the third and most common are proper nouns. So proper nouns are the only type of noun that are capitalized. Other than pronouns, they're the pronoun I, they are the only type of word that is capitalized. And proper nouns, if you remember, are specific, unique, named persons, places, things, ideas, anything like that. So some examples might be Atlanta. That's a place, right? It's a very specific city. James, I'm talking about a specific person. JSU, it's a specific school. There is no other Jacksonville State University on the planet that I know of. So if I said I go to Jacksonville State University, I have to be talking about JSU. If I say I'm going to university, I'm not necessarily talking about any particular university. And so if I said I'm going to university, then I wouldn't necessarily capitalize it. But if I'm talking about this specific university, I do. So we have a couple more graphics here. A lot of students struggle with this. It's tempting to try to capitalize a word for emphasis. It's tempting to capitalize abstract concepts or things that mean something special to you but aren't specific, unique, and named. So I wanted to kind of go into a little bit more detail about this. So proper nouns, another way of looking at them, are they are the names of people, places, or things. So Mr. Lowry, Miss Cowherd, Dr. Warner, Sir Wilson, Davis Auto Repair, the White House. So Mez's Salsa Lounge. Common nouns would be any old noun. They're not specifically named. So man, woman, car, doctor, auto, house, lounge, salsa. All of those would be, common nouns. So if you're talking about something named, something specific and named, you capitalize it. If not, then you don't capitalize it. Some more examples here, because a lot of people do struggle with this. So generic people, places, or ideas. So an author, the author of that book, that would not be capitalized. But if I'm naming the author specifically, Leo Tolstoy would be capitalized. Same here with city and names of specific cities, planets and names of specific planets, languages and names of specific languages. These always begin with a capital letter. Subjects, things like names of subjects. English is capitalized because it is referring to the language of a specific people. But say math. Math is not. Math is not referring to anything that is specific to one group or person. It is referring to the general concept of mathematics. So here we have more examples. So if we're talking about a man in general, then it's not capitalized. If we're talking about Victor Hugo or Walt Disney, we're naming specific people, it is capitalized. Same with mountain and Mount Kilimanjaro, ocean and Atlantic Ocean and Indian Ocean. You can see here that both words are capitalized. It's not Atlantic big, ocean little, because the name of the ocean is Atlantic Ocean. States, countries, buildings that are named Empire State Building. If I named my cat Buttons or Fluffy, then I would capitalize that. And websites are, because they are a title, they are capitalized as well. So English Grammar Revolution is where this is from. Then that would be capitalized here too. Grammar Revolution, Grammarly would be capitalized. Jacksonville State University, that website would be capitalized. Anything that is a specific name is capitalized. So some common problems we run into with capitalization. The biggest one is that common nouns are not capitalized. You don't just capitalize a word for emphasis. If it's a common noun, it's not capitalized. So dog and family are not capitalized. Plane should not be capitalized here, but PowerPoint decided to autocorrect it, and I was on the plane and apparently didn't catch that. Abstract nouns are also not capitalized. So fame, love, and hate, those are not things that you can hold in your hand. It's common to want to emphasize them. They are still not capitalized. If I said, respect is love, love would not be capitalized there. So another thing that I see a lot with students is talking about something in a general sense that is specific to you. So if you say, my high school was great, well, you're thinking of a specific high school. You're thinking of the high school you went to. But the phrasing in the sentence, you're actually not naming that high school. So you could still be talking about any high school. So correct would be my high school, H lowercase, S lowercase. High school is actually two words too. If you wanted to change it to where it'd be a proper noun and you wanted to say, I went to a very specific high school, you might say, I went to Martin Luther King High School. Then you're naming the high school. You're saying the specific name of it, and then, yes, it is capitalized. Another one that comes up a lot is politicians and officials. So, say the mayor of Los Angeles. Well, you're thinking of a specific mayor, and in your head, you're thinking of the person with that name. But if in the sentence you're not naming them, then it's a common noun. So the mayor of Los Angeles, if you're just talking about, if you're not saying his name or her name, then mayor is not capitalized. You'll note Los Angeles is, because Los Angeles is a city. But if I was, and I don't know if this is the name of the real mayor, but Mayor Jones of Los Angeles, if I say the name of the mayor, then it is capitalized. So here's just kind of an example. So to show you how this all comes together. So John Smith is a local boy, but that's his name. So John Smith is capitalized because he's being named. But when he's being referred to as a boy, it's not capitalized. So he's visited every major city. City is a noun, but it is a common noun. He's not naming any particular city. In South America, that's the name of a continent. So since it's the name of something, it's capitalized, except for Vitoria. Vitoria is the name of a city, so here it is capitalized. So we're going to stop here, and then we're going to kind of very briefly talk about functions of nouns in a sentence, and I will be back in just a moment.